Media Officer Daniel Johnson and Mariki van Jaarsveld next to Solly. And Solly, I would also like to thank you for making sure that we have COVID-19 compliance at level 1 here. Thank you very much. It is noticed and it is appreciated. Let me move straight into agriculture in the Western Cape. I'm going to talk about some of these particular matters to give you an overview of the Western Cape agriculture stats, look at the trade in the Western Cape, and also briefly speak about ministerial priorities. Well, earlier this year in February, before we were hit here by COVID-19, my task and my job and responsibility was to also promote agriculture in the Western Cape at the trade fair in Berlin, the biggest trade fair for agricultural products in the world, early February, together with specifically our partners with the fruit export producers. This is the situation in terms of agriculture here in the Western Cape. You will see that we have the biggest size of the cut of commercial agriculture in South Africa. It's about 20%, followed by the Free State, followed by Mpumalanga, very significant. The Western Cape is only 10% of the geographical size, it's only 10% of the tax base, and we are boxing in a super league 20% of commercial agriculture, and therefore this is significant. Also for us, very importantly, these are the various sectors of the Western Cape economy. Very importantly for us to note is that the Western Cape agricultural sector is about 11%, 4% for primary agriculture and about 7% for secondary agriculture, in other words, the so-called agro-processing. It is growing, it's significant, and is continued to grow, and therefore we will continuously to support agriculture here in the Western Cape. Also for us, it is very important to notice the other forms of the primary agriculture, the field crops. On the left side, you can see the input, and that's why I was so happy to see the previous presentation of Grow Bank in terms of the input costs, the risk in agriculture, and certainly you can see the agriculture value chain that he has been speaking about and the context for the Western Cape. Again, for us, the fresh produce export is a very significant part of the work that we do here in the Western Cape. These photos were taken those were taken in the Netherlands. As you know, the Netherlands is the very biggest market, particularly as it relates to the import of agricultural products around the world at the Rotterdam Harbour. And those particular products that you see there on the left-hand side, it is me standing there next to the grapes from Witzenberg and Ceres, also being exported all over Europe there. And so for us, this is very important. If you look at the agricultural biggest subsectors, you will see stone fruit, prom fruit, wine grapes, also table grapes and citrus. These are very significant sectors or subsectors of the agricultural sector, and you can see the export value of these different subsectors here in the Western Cape. Stone fruit, very important. Also the wine, significant. As you know, we here in the Western Cape have the biggest soft fruit industry south of the equator, and this is very significant if you take a look at that. Also for us, very importantly, in terms of the commercial agriculture, we have about almost 7,000 commercial farmers. These are the latest stats SA of agricultural census that was done for commercial agriculture. We have about 9,800 smallholder farmers. We have about 254 farm workers, or what we call agri-workers. Also, very importantly to note that we have about 230,000 agri-processing workers. In other words, people working in the secondary agricultural sector, very important. Agriculture in the Western Cape also constitute about 17% of the total labor force, so it is indeed very significant. As in the previous presentation, you can see where these countries are that we currently export, the export destination. These are 2019 figures here in the Western Cape. Very importantly, if you look at the agricultural exports, these particular countries, China, the United Kingdom remains a very important sector, the Netherlands, and some of these other countries, the US, very significant. I had recently had another meeting with the ambassador last week of the UAE. Germany is a very important partner. We export to Russia, Hong Kong. If you look at the agri-processing, in other words, the secondary agriculture, where are we exporting? Very important for us, Botswana, Namibia, Mozambique, Lesotho, the United Kingdom, Swaziland, Zambia, the Netherlands, the USA, and then there's 41% some other countries that we can also list if people need those information. Also, from an export destination, it is important to see where we are exporting. In fact, since 2014, the Western Cape is now exporting not only agriculture, general exports, more products from the Western Cape on the African continent than in the United States or even in the European Union. So great significant export capability on the African continent. Where are we importing products from, particularly our Western Cape origin of imports? These are 2019. You can see quite a significant there on the African continent, Americas and Asia, Europe. Agri-processing, again, very significant. Africa 15, Asia 27, but certainly one would like to see more secondary agriculture on the African continent. These are significant potential on the African continent. I'm not going to speak to this. I want to save time, reduce the blood pressure of the program director. But I want to speak about this. When I became the Minister of Agriculture, I decided let's have strategic priorities, because priorities make you focus. So what are the strategic priorities? The strategic priorities that I've developed is structured training and education. For me, very important, rural safety, market access, farmer support, and climate change. And in the previous presentation from Growth Bank, you have seen how important these priorities are also. The first one for me is structured education and training and research. I want to see more agricultural schools in South Africa. Currently, we have 3 agricultural schools. I'm going to visit one next week in Augsburg in Clanwilliam. Now, I told you that we have the biggest soft fruit industry south of the equator, and you only have 3 agricultural schools. There's a mismatch. And so my mission is to have more agricultural schools, to get the more youth involved in agriculture. I want to make agriculture more sexy. More people must be involved in agriculture. I was inspired when I met IAF, the African Youth Agricultural Forum. When I met some people from West Africa, they understand agriculture. They've got a love for agriculture. They've got a passion for agriculture, but agriculture and innovation. We're going to turn a revolution in agricultural schools here in the Western Cape. We've put a budget together. I've met with the Minister of Education, cease an agreement. We need more agricultural schools so that more people can also have work and opportunities. So in the previous presentation, you saw the growth forecast, population growth. By the year 2050, there will be 750 million people living in urban areas on the African continent. Obviously, I want more agricultural schools in rural areas so that we can grow the economy in rural areas to agricultural production. It is sad when a child in Beaufort West wants to study agriculture, that boy must go to the nearest school is in Riversdale. And I think we need more agricultural schools. Witzenberg in Ceres is one of the biggest agricultural production regions. But if that child wants to study agriculture, he must go to Boland Agricultural College. We need more agricultural college. That's my mission, that's my purpose, that's the budget, that's the focus. That's what I dream about all day long. The African continent, we need more schools in every single country. Because you know what? A child that comes out of an agricultural college is taught to build up, not to break down. You won't get a child in an agricultural school that set a tire, a light, and burn down a clinic or a hospital or a library, because there's a different ethics, there's a different morality, there's a different fiber. So we're not only building agricultural schools, we're building citizenship. And that's the focus. That's the mission. And so Mariki is now setting up another meeting with the agricultural subject advisor of the Department of Education. We will soon have another meeting because I want to see progress. It is my mission. That's the only thing I dream about. When I'm no longer Minister of Education, I want to be known for a man that puts schools down for agriculture. But for me, also very importantly, Roland, is rural safety. My heart burns, my heart bleeds when I hear that farmers or farm workers have been killed. And both black farmers and white farmers and farm workers are being killed. Recently, 20 black farmers were killed in KZN. It is sad, it is tragic. It pains me. And so we have also decided to have a Rural Safety Committee. I went to the Western Cape Cabinet and said, listen here, I'm the Minister of Agriculture, but I'm going to chair the Ministerial Rural Safety Committee in the Western Cape. I'm not going to say safety is not my business. If my farmers are killed, my farm workers are killed, I am the Minister of Agriculture. I'm going to chair the Ministerial Committee on the Rural Safety. It is my business. And when a farmer or a farm worker is killed in the Western Cape, Roland, I'm in court, I oppose bail. Because we must support farmers, but we must also be pragmatic. So what my colleague Minister Fritz is doing, and together with myself, we are now supporting our rural farm watchers, our neighborhood watchers. We accredit them, we support them with technical equipment, we support them with training, because we must be seen to be doing properly within the context of the rule of law. We cannot have the situation that we have in South Africa. We need to protect our farmers. And the fact that the mainstream media didn't cover Roland and Solly, 20 black farmers that were killed in KZN, tells us a very, very sad story. Also for me, market access is very important. We in the Western Cape, we are responsible for 45% of all the agricultural exports in South Africa comes from the Western Cape. And so for me, market access is important, supporting our farmers with their products, both the local markets but also the international markets. Although it is important to have the Chinese market, the Indian markets. Why? Because in China you have 1.4 billion people, in India you have got 1.3 billion people. It is important to target those markets. But to get into the markets solely in China, it takes you 16 years for the protocols. So I'm rather going to do business on the African continent, because in the African continent with the Free Africa Trade Agreement, that's the place where I want to be. Although I'm targeting also the wine exports to China, because if everyone drink one glass of red wine in China, I don't have to work at all here in South Africa.
How long does it take Chinese products to come here? Sorry.
We can have that part of his panel questions. Respect the panel chair. Also, for us, it is important to significantly grow our market access on the African continent, but also continues with our traditional markets. As you can see, agri-processing, very significant value add in the province, from 48 billion in 2018 to 50.4 billion rand. And Solly, I have set the target to have a 5% increase in market access for agricultural products, because of 5% growth over 5 years in the agricultural business from the Western Cape, Roland, will generate 19,000 new jobs. And we must be in the job creation business. So we've set the target, we're chasing that target. To make things real, we've created an agricultural investment unit within Westgrow to make that happen. And Amanda, where she is here? She's doing outstanding work for us in Westgrow, promoting our agricultural investment abroad. Then, in the previous presentation, we saw farmer support, very significant, very important, and we are now rolling out exactly what the previous presenter said, Roland, vegetable gardens. I want to see another revolution, one home, one garden. I want to see every tire lying around, every old thing, even an old wheelbarrow in your yard, in the shack, in the township, that must become a garden. We are busy rolling out a revolution in a one home, one garden project, and it's happening all over, because you inject new energy in people. You also create well-being, emotional well-being, physical well-being, mental well-being, because a person that plants something needs faith that it will come up. That faith is part of your spiritual well-being. Some farmers, some people speak to their plants. That's an emotional connection. It's part of your emotional well-being. In farming, you must walk. Can't just be on a tractor. A little bit of exercise can also help during COVID-19. So climate change is also very important for us. We're the 5th driest country in the world, so it is important that we think differently about climate change. We have developed also micro-satellites to assist farmers to use the right volumes of water for the different crops, and also develop a climate resilience strategy for agriculture. I want to conclude. I think a man, despite his artistic pretensions, his sophistication, and his or her many accomplishments, owes his existence to the 6-inch layer of topsoil and the fact that it rains. You need water. And I think for me that is important for our own civilization, for our own continuation on this earth. We need to respect farmers. We need to respect the environment, and we need to pray for rain. We did pray for rain, and next Sunday we will have a prayer service at Theewater's Kloof Dam in Verliesdorp, because 2 years ago people hawked in the dam. There was no water. Today the dam is overflowing, and I think my culture teaches me to be thankful. And so we will arrange a prayer service to thank our spiritual Father for rain, because you cannot farm without water. Thank you. May God bless you.
Thank you so much. I am brimming with questions, and I'm sure you all are. And so use the opportunity to really go onto the Menti platform. The code for this session, the food value chain session, is 3581562.